Welcome to my 8 bits. This is my review of Donkey Kong Country Returns. Spanning almost 30 years, the Donkey Kong Country series has grown into many different game types, series, and styles, and the most popular games of the franchise still remain the Donkey Kong Country series, began in 1994 and ending 3 years later. Now, over a decade after the last Country game, Retro Studios takes a swing on Rare's old vine. Can Donkey Kong Country Returns survive on its own merits, or will it be unfavorably compared to its elders? The game starts off in true Donkey Kong Country fashion. Someone has stolen Donkey Kong's hoard of bananas, and the Great Ape, with his nephew Diddy Kong, must traverse through their native island's violent terrain to get it back, and that's it. For the most part, the story stays out of the way, showing itself in a beginning cutscene, one before each boss fight, and an ending one, and the last one, but it's a secret. These cutscenes are short, but usually at least somewhat humorous, and they can be skipped. The real meat of this game is the Donkey Kong platforming, and it delivers. Donkey Kong Country has over 50 unique levels and 8 unique worlds. Each level has you tasked with getting from point A to point B with plenty to collect, enemies to smash, barrels to roll, and things to climb in between. As for what you can do to traverse the harsh environment, your abilities are few. Donkey can run, roll, jump, pick up and throw, and climb. All the basics, running, jumping, and grabbing, are all mapped to the expected buttons, but rolling, blowing, and the all-powerful ground smash attack are mapped to waggle. While the button-based controls are absolutely flawless, using waggle to control some of DK's moves, especially the roll, which you have to use for super jumps, was a bad idea on Retro's part. Most of the time, they work, but every time they don't is a strike against the game and adds to the frustration of the player. Honestly, the game could have done without the blow, as this only used to put out flaming enemies or to find some secret collectibles. But as I said, the controls work, and they have to, because Donkey Kong Country Returns is one of the hardest platformers released in a long time. On a whole, it's nowhere near sadistic as Super Meat Boy, but some levels will redden your face and howl in frustration. You will die, and a lot, and most of the time it's a fair difficulty. But there are a few spots in the game where memorization is key, and because of the game's reliance on an outdated live system, you will get angry. A persistent enough gamer should be able to make it through the story, and even a few levels afterwards without breaking any controllers. But if you'll admit to yourself that you gave up on Super Mario World, then this game isn't for you. As for those levels, they can be split into 3 main types: platforming, minecart, and rocket barrel. The platforming levels are the most numerous, and it's where you'll be doing most of your running, jumping, climbing, and all that other good stuff. The minecart levels can be divided into levels where you ride in a minecart and levels where you ride on a minecart. Both of them put you on rails, unable to control your speed or stop. You can still duck and jump, and that's where the difference between the 2 levels comes in. When riding in the minecart, it jumps with you, so you'll have to jump from broken track to broken track, avoiding obstacles. When riding on the minecart, it'll stay on the tracks as you jump, so you'll have to make sure you land back on the moving cart. The last, and in this reviewer's opinion, the worst levels, are the rocket barrel levels. The only control you have in these stages are rising and falling, both controlled by holding and releasing one button. This would be fine, but you hardly get any feedback from your actions in these levels, which can make it hard to gauge when exactly to do in what level. All these levels are difficult, but not all of them equally so. For the most part, there is a steady difficulty curve, but there are a few spikes. Throughout each level in the game, there are 2 types of collectibles: puzzle pieces and KONG letters, which unlock gallery stuff and extra levels respectively. You can also find Diddy Kong and barrels throughout many of the levels, which alleviate some of the stress by giving you 2 extra hits and a jetpack to extend airtime. Once again, Nintendo shows how far it can push the comparatively weak Wii in terms of presentation. Donkey Kong Country Returns burst with bright, vivid colors that pop and plenty of detail. Both the Kongs and the levels are brimming with style and personality. The game is a joy to watch and a beaut to play. The sound doesn't drop a note, with successful remixes of Donkey Kong Fair and some new tunes that fit right in. While never being forgotten, Donkey Kong Country Returns reminds gamers how great Donkey Kong games can be. A truly challenging and sometimes frustrating game, Donkey Kong Country Returns is perfect for a veteran that's been longing for another game to beat, or a newcomer who wants to graduate from the Mario. Donkey Kong Country Returns gets an 8.5 out of 10.